Hello, welcome to Bumps 2026. So we are City 9, we're starting top of Women's Division 3. Our aim is to row over, and after we've rowed over on the same night, we will then be rowing the bottom of Women's Division 2. And that means we're chasing City 8, which is St Mary's A crew. And ahead of them, Cantabs 10, Radigan, Champs 3, etc. Okay, so let's look at these scenarios in a little bit more detail. So in Division 3, we start off at the head of the division, Station 1, Cantabs 11 on Station 2, and Express 3, we're chasing Cantabs 11 on Station 3. Key thing for us, clear water, flat water, no disturbance ahead of us. That's going to be very helpful. Most likely thing, we all row over, and ideally we're faster than Cantabs 11 so we can shut it down, not expend much energy. Arguably even better is if Express 3 are able to catch Cantabs 11, then really very little pressure behind us, and we can not take it easy, but we can really use minimum energy. More interesting is Division 2. We're starting at the back of Division 18. We've got St Mary's A in front of us, 17, Cantabs 10 or 16, and Radigan 1 are in Station 15. The big thing here to know is there's nobody behind us, so all the pressure is off us in terms of we cannot get bumped, and that means we can give absolutely everything. We can burn all our matches, and the aim is to catch St Mary's A as quickly, as fast as possible. We're going all out. There is another scenario where we don't get St Mary's in time, or they're faster than us, and they catch Cantabs 10. So that opens up the possibility of an overbump on Radigan 1. I'll be honest with you, I look back in Women's Division 2, the last time this happened was 2019. So it's unusual. But if the opportunity's there, we're going to go for it. But by far our best chance is to go all out to get St Mary's off the start or soon after the start. Okay, so on to the finishes. Each division has a top finish and a bottom finish. The top 8 crews go for the top finish. The rest of the division, with some exceptions, go to the bottom finish. It's pretty simple for us. Women's Division 3, we're at the top, so we're going to the White House, and Women's Division 2, we're near the bottom, so we're going again to the White House. So there's very little thought involved. We're always going to the White House. But the big difference is in Division 3, we're starting at the front of the division, which means it's around 1.5 kilometers to the White House. Whereas in Division 2, we're starting right at the back. So obviously that's further, and that's approximately 2 kilometers. So do bear that in mind. There's a good chance we're going to be rowing over both divisions. Ideally, we get the bump, but worst case, we're rowing over both. So that's nearly 3.5 kilometers over the 2 races, if we need it. Okay, so just some reminders of what start of a bumps race looks like. So we're being pushed out, in this case by Jeff. There's a pole that'll push us out. I'm holding onto a chain which is attached to the bank. What we're trying to do is move forwards as far as is sensible. So I'll be asking particularly bow pair to tap it on, etc. And the other thing, we're trying to get straight. Again, bow pair, you're playing a big roll there, little taps to get us straight, and then the cannon goes, and off we go. So this is from 2024, so this is W7, so similar, quite a few of you would have been in this crew as well. So we're going off Station 2 here, so very similar to where we'll be tomorrow, and one of the things I want to emphasize here is we're very close to first post corner, so we'll execute our start sequence. And already we're sort of starting to take a line into first post corner. Rating, Rachel has it up as rate 40, as she often does. So we are really taking distance out of this Cantabs crew in front of us. I'm starting to steer into the corner at this point. So not a lot you need to do, but just to be prepared, we will be going into a corner very quickly. All I'm ever going to ask for you is to pretty much just keep doing what you're doing. So in this case, we're just reeling in Cantabs. In our case, at the top of Division 3, be clear water. But this is a good example of us going for a bump. This is a fairly straightforward one. In this case, the Cox really did not want to concede. As you can imagine, from my point of view, I cannot really see a great deal of that crew in front. And so eventually, we hit the Cox in the back with our bow ball, and they concede. And then here's just an opportunity to say, obviously, if we get a bump, our job is to, I will say, hold it up. We stop rowing. Not the time to celebrate. Going to pull us into the bank. But now on to our second race. So here we are near the bottom, not quite the bottom. I don't have the footage from when we were last in Division 2. But we're here at the second station, so still pretty close to the lock. We're being pushed off. This is an interesting one because I don't get this right. So what you'll notice is as we're pushed out, we're straight at this point, but the bow starts drifting to stroke side. I think I was expecting the cannon to go a little earlier, so we're not straight. These things happen, so I'm trying to apply as little rudder as possible to get us straight again. So obviously I will try and do a little bit better in 2026 for this one. So this is I think this is good. We're chasing Chesterton here, and I think this is going to be pretty reflective of if we are able to make ground on St. Mary's. I think it will probably look something like this, right? They will put up a big fight. It's not going to be easy. So we're getting ground on Chesterton here. It is a big. We're starting down here. This is a big corner. I know we often don't think of it as sort of part of a race and a corner, but there's opportunity for me as a Cox to make some ground on other crews here. So we come out of our start sequence, we've strided out, but we're still maximum intensity. Our best chance of getting St. Mary's is something like this. But what I think this video shows is that it's, even if you are fast in that crew, the differences in speed, everyone roughly knows what they're doing in this division. So you can be faster, but it can take quite a lot of time to reel that crew in. So we're coming up to the railway bridge. Sorry, not the railway bridge, motorway bridge here. So we're coming under half a length at this point. And this is good. And then this is exactly what we need to do if we're in this situation. So we just keep putting down the rhythm. We're moving on them, maybe just a few inches every stroke. And the idea is we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. Really the only thing I would call is if I think a bump is imminent or we need to do it right now, I'll call it bumps 10 or something similar. So that's probably what we're up to here. So we're sort of a canvas maybe overlapping at this point. And we're going to get the job done. So I'm not trying to steer in for contact on the actual shell of the boat here. In fact, here I'm just aiming to force the Cox to concede by getting very close to Stroke's blade. And eventually they will concede. There they go. And again, just a reminder, we get the bump, we hold it up. A little bit better than what we're doing here. There's nothing behind us in this case, so there's no pressure to hold it up. But that's not always the case. And just to finish up, I've got some footage from Maze of this year. So this is the top of Women's Division 1. This is Jesus being chased by Trinity Hall. So an example of what a boat looks like going off at the top of a division. It's also an opportunity to look at a fast crew and what their start looks like. So they're moving away very well. Again, obviously, this is the top of May bumps for the women, so all the crews looking very solid as they come by. And we have the same start, this time from above on a drone. I think it's instructive to see that Jesus W1 ahead of the river don't go off with the correct line, similar to, not quite as much as you saw me in the video before, but they have to apply some steering right off the start, so it's pretty normal to apply a little bit of rudder off the start. Not ideal, but it happens. And you can see they're rowing into nice flat water. not too much pressure from the crew behind, and they're getting into their rhythm. And you can see already into first post corner at this point. So again, just a reminder that there's not much distance between us and the first corner, and then we're into the gut, and then we're into the grassy. So, and then finally, just a bit of fun. So this is from May Bumps this year. This is Open Division 3, I think. So keep your attention on the second and third crew in this division. So the second crew look like they're in trouble and they're going to be caught whatever happens. They've taken a dodgy line. They've just applied a lot of steering. I think they're fundamentally slower than Keys behind them. But I want you to keep your attention on Keys and the decision-making of their cocks. I find this fascinating. So we're coming into first post corner. First thing is, I think that's a very, very tight line they're taking around that corner. And they've got lots of overspeed. But then the cocks decide to take this approach to getting the bump. So it's going to happen. But at speed, almost spears the cocks in the back. And then the pièce de résistance is this. So yes, let's clear out the river. That's great. But, you know, not the optimal way to clear out the river. And finally, I just want to remind ourselves how well we've done in the past, how good we are now, and how fast we're going to be in this Bumps campaign. So reminder, City 7, we went up 3 places last year. And in fact, neither Senior Masters Women's crew has been bumped at all over the past 2 bumps. And if we go back a year earlier, City 7 went up 4 places over that, right? So we've not been bumped and we've only gone up quite a number of places. So I'm really excited. I think this is going to be good. Obviously, bumps is random, out of our control, but I think we're going to put down all the effort we can, and I think it's going to be really fun and exciting. See you all on Monday.